So you're tired of life happening and then your nutrition goals, fitness goals, overall lifestyle goals go out the window. Well, let's talk about today how you can be one of the most adaptable, unbreakable humans possible. Let's dive in. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Unbreakable Parents Podcast. Today, we're doing a little bit of a walk and talk. I hope the microphone sounds all right for everybody. I have the kind of background sound thing off right now, so hopefully there's not a bunch of background noise. It's a little windy, and this path I'm walking on, it's actually right by a highway, but who cares? We adapt and we overcome because we are unbreakable, right? So that's what we're here to talk about today. I really just want to talk about being unbreakable, and being unbreakable means being adaptable, right? Because if life happens and then we throw out all of our fitness goals, we throw out any of our nutrition goals, and it just all goes out the window completely. Not saying you have to keep everything dialed in 100 at every moment of every second of the day, especially when life gets crazy. Now, that being said, make sure I'm on the walking path, not the bike path. That being said, I've noticed within myself, if I don't keep the mindset of being like a rubber band when these things happen, it's gonna get really loud, so I might turn around and walk back the other way, but don't mind the stuff in the background. I think of being a rubber band, right? And what I mean by this is, think about a rubber band. It can be stretched, and eventually, if you just keep pulling, it's going to break. But here's the thing. If you allow that rubber band to stay stretched and under that stress for a certain amount of time, and then you let it go, and then you go to pull it back out and put it through that same amount of stress, guess what happens? It's able to reach a farther point now before it gets to that tension to where it wants to break. So I want you all to be like a rubber band in this essence. I want you all to think about life in this way. Think about, how can I, as an unbreakable human, go out, deal with this stress, get myself to that point, because life's going to happen. We can't get away from it. I'm running through it right now. I mean, that's why this episode's being done. I actually am I was going through, I'm not going to say the hardest week ever, but it was one of my craziest weeks for a while. Just a lot of stuff in the family that was going down. And then on top of that, our cat was going to need surgery, but luckily didn't. Then we found out the vet, so our cat has some aggression issues and stuff. Amazing cat. I love this dude to death. He's a kitten too, so he's still a baby. I love this dude to death, but he attacks me, he attacks the kids and stuff sometimes, whatever. We're working on it. And the vet tried to tell us the only option was to put him down. That killed us. That was hard to deal with, but now we're, fighting that and going on our own terms and trying to see what we can do on the end of him and how he acts right now. And then on top of that, all of a sudden, I pick my dog up from the fucking groomer. Sorry for the language, if there's any kids around. And I'm sorry, I was just very upset because I picked my dog up, and dude, so I went to, long story short, or let me rewind. I went and wiped his paws off one day. Let me check the time real quick too, because I do gotta pick my kiddo up, make sure I'm walking back here. I had to wipe his paw off. It was raining, I believe, on Saturday or Sunday, right? So I took it upon myself to wipe his paw off, obviously, before he goes and runs through our house. Now, that led to him yelping and freaking out. And I was like, oh, okay, what's going on? He wouldn't really let me touch his paw too much, and I let it be for the time being, and all of a sudden, we take him to the groomer on Sunday. And then I pick him up, and they say, oh, because I let him know, hey, his paw's kind of bothering him, this and that. And they're like, oh, hey, just so you know, he seems like he might have a cyst under his dew claw because it busted open and was bleeding. I'm like, oh man, all right. Like, thanks for letting me know. I always give people the benefit of the doubt, this and that. Then we get home. My dog starts playing with my kids. All of a sudden I go outside. Mind you, I have a red silver Siberian Husky. That means, I really gotta pick up the pace on my walking. That means he is like a reddish brown color, and then he's also white. His paws are white. I look out there, my dude's paws are completely bright red. Well, his one paw. I'm like, what the hell? So I grab him, I check, his dew claw is no good. He's not having it. I'm like, all right. Luckily, my mother-in-law, shout out to you if you're watching or listening, she is a vet tech. So we were able to bring him into the vet, and they were like, hey, yeah, it's definitely not a cyst. He somehow pretty much ripped his dew claw completely off, and it was just like dangling there. And like, if you've had this happen to your dog, you know the amount of blood that happens. It's like a bloodbath. It's insane. It's so crazy. So we bring him in. Mind you, this is just all happening back to back to back to back to back. And then that's Monday. So then Monday we find out, okay, cool. He has to have a surgery. So I'm like, oh my gosh, all right, cool. He gets his surgery. And then that same day, some stuff goes on in the family that's like pretty intense. Definitely no need to talk about it here. It's not my place to talk about it, but I have a family member who's going through a fucking hell of a time. I can't even say too much. I want to say a lot more because of my viewpoint. It's a very upsetting time for us all in my family. But just know, if you feel like you don't have anybody, reach out to me. I will always be there for anybody who's going through things and is having a hard time and just needs somebody to talk to. I have a very, very supportive family, and I'm very, very blessed to have the family I have, because I know I always have somebody I can talk to. I know I always have somebody I can confide in. But if you don't, reach out. I'm here for you. Now, that being said, back to my story. That stuff's all happening. And then Tuesday rolls around, I got school, and I start getting smacked with being sick. And I'm in the middle of trying to drop the Eat to Thrive program, going through all this stuff, and I get smacked with it. I thought I had strep throat, went to the doctor. Luckily it wasn't strep throat, and then I had to go to school. Just died through that day. And then I think like Wednesday I was just sick all day and just like forgot the day essentially. And then Thursday, filmed a ton of videos for Eat to Thrive, edited those videos up, made sure people were getting their emails and everything. And it was pretty much just hard, that week with the dog. Having a big dog with a paw issue is something else, I'll tell you that. Because then like every day we have to put his paw in this thing. And it's so funny. Like, I don't say all this to complain. I'm just explaining the week, because the way I look at this stuff, especially after this week, is I get to deal with these things. I'm lucky. Like, I'm blessed to be able to get to deal with all this stuff that I'm talking about. And, you know, it gets hard sometimes. It gets stressful. But luckily, I've been through these things. I've let myself stretch to that point of almost breaking. I get through it, I relax, and now I'm much more adaptable. I'm much more pliable to those situations. All right? So, I don't know. Oh yeah, and then to top it all off, my truck broke down. I don't have my truck right now. I'm driving the wife's Chevy Traverse. I miss my truck. But I'm gonna go over this highway, so I don't wanna be too loud. I'm probably gonna end it here for today, honestly, but be adaptable. That's how you be unbreakable. In order to be unbreakable, we have to be adaptable. And I want you all to think about being like a rubber band. Allow yourself to stretch to that point where it feels pretty damn hard, like you're almost about to break, and then let yourself come back out of it, get that adaptation going, and then be able to handle more stress, right? There's a lot of things that go into this, like journaling, meditation, your exercise, your nutrition. All those things do play a part into how adaptable you can be. But I want to see you all go out and make it happen this week. Comment Unbreakable below if you're going to commit to you being completely adaptable to every situation out there. Much love.